Hello and welcome to Forex Focus, where we talk all about mastering the art of trading with a strong mindset. Nick, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. All right, OFP Nation, it is Monday, April 21st, and we are diving into our 41st episode of Forex Focus that is titled The Power of Accountability in Trading Psychology. Nick, when you think about accountability, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Taking responsibility.
Oh, taking
Responsibility.
responsibility. Taking
Yeah.
responsibility. Um, I think that is a really short and simple way to kind of get straight to the point, right? When I'm accountable for something, I am taking responsibility for something. I am owning up, and I think there's a lot of different angles we can think of when we think of accountability, right? Like the one example that a lot of people might think of is um, when we do something wrong, right? Or when we make a mistake, uh, and recognizing what we did was wrong, recognizing what we did, was a mistake, and taking accountability, taking responsibility, taking ownership for that. I think that's one way that a lot of people think about it. Um, but I guess
Mhm.
from a trading perspective, you know, mm, I guess we obviously we can take ownership for our trading, right? But I guess there's another way of viewing accountability. Like, for example, I don't know, maybe accountability in making sure we do what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah, but at the same and at the same in the same token, it's still taking responsibility, right? Whether we're taking responsibility ourselves or whether someone else is holding us to something or there to make sure that we take responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like an accountability partner.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
exactly like an accountability partner. So that is the topic for today, OFP Nation, is accountability, talking about accountability and how accountability can play such a major role in helping us to get back on track if we fall off track or stay on track, right? We always say that trading is a journey, it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. There are going to be times where we're doing just fine and we have no problems. And then for some reason, there might be a season where we're having a very difficult time in our trading. And even some seasoned traders have a difficult time in their trading. By the way, for those of you who are tuning in with us live, feel free to say hello in the comments. Let us know what your name is, where you are tuning in from, so that we can say hey and acknowledge you. And then feel free to join in on the conversation that Nick and I are having today about accountability. Accountability. For some reason, some words just sound better when you do them with an accent.
Yes, they do. I ain't gonna lie.
That they do, But hey, I wonder what it sound like if I did like a Southern accent, like an American Southern accent. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So accountability. So obviously, you said accountability is taking responsibility. What would you say taking accountability looks like in your personal trading routine?
Um, it's where you make a loss and you, I don't know if I can call it like man up, woman up, and accept that loss. Yeah. So, like, even when you make a mistake, you don't have to start doing revenge trading, even though it was like a mistake. You just accept that mistake, like, okay, I've made this loss of $3 or $20 or whatever, and then moving on. where you execute as you always do, but then taking into account that you did make a mistake and that you're working on improving, making such mistakes and whatnot. Yeah, rather than trying to, because I see this a lot. Like a trader may make a mistake, like, oh, I opened up a sell, I had to open up a buy, and then it made me lose a $10. So I'm deciding to probably increase my lot size so that I can make more from the trades to cover that loss rather than just accepting that loss and just following the detailed plan. Because if you deviate from it and you decide to increase the lot size, your initial probably 1% will now become probably 2%, because you want to make that quick buck over the mistake that you made at first. Yeah.
So I guess in one word, you would probably describe as like maybe discipline. Like, would you say having discipline is a form of
Yes,
having accountability? Like,
exactly.
like having
Correcto mundo.
correcto mundo. So like having discipline in your trading plan, your trading routine, um, having discipline in, mm, let's see, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it there. But yes, that's what I was thinking of. Just summing it up in that one word and summing it up in just this in that. What about our audience? Let us know in the comments what accountability looks like in your personal trading. How would you sum it up in one word? I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know. So please tell me. Engage with me because I don't want to be talking to the wind. Although I'm not talking to the wind, right? Because I'm talking to you, Nick. Or maybe I am talking to the
Hello?
wind. Did you hear me?
No, it started breaking on my end
Oh,
because of
okay.
my internet. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, no problem.
but
I
it's
just
kind of
said you weren't meant to hear it. It was not important. Okay, so it wasn't important. That was the universe saying, eh. Um, all right. So have you have you ever counted on someone else outside of yourself to hold you accountable in your trading? And if so, did you notice a change in your results as a result?
Yes, I did. I remember I used to way back host live trading sections on a live account, not demo, just all live and everything. That was like probably way back in 2019, 2020. Yeah, every morning, same time, same place. And I noticed one thing, I was more disciplined than any other day. Like, I'll be like, I know I've entered this trade, everybody's watching me. I shouldn't flop. And like, it just changes your how outlook. Like, discipline just goes to a whole new level, like 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's this meme which sometimes is shared where there's a bear, it's trying to hunt for fish, and then it notices that there are people who are around it, and then it makes a mistake while hunting for the fish. Like it goes on its face or something. So yeah, you can find some people make a mistake when there's like accountability. But then in my case, I got better, my results were better, and I followed through with that strategy to the T. Even though it started losing after some time, like when the market condition changed and whatnot, I was following it to the T, and everybody could see that I was following it to the T up until the very end. And then they were like, okay, yeah, this guy is legit. Yeah, so it does help like keep everything in place, even when just like even if you're not going live or anything, but people seeing your results every single day, week, month will help you frame your mind in a way that you won't want to make a mistake that people say, okay, this guy doesn't really follow what he says, or this woman just says things but doesn't really do them. So your actions will, your words will turn into action, in short, when you have accountability.
It kind of saves you from, can you hear me okay? Okay. Kind of saves you from looking like, I guess the word would be hypocrite, maybe,
Yes.
you know? Um, that's so fascinating that you share that because that is a very different approach. You know, when I think of accountability partner, I'm more so thinking like a mentor, um, whether it's a friend, although I do believe in paying for a mentor more, just because there's something about putting money or skin in the game, uh, that helps you, because you're like, well, I paid for this, I invested in this, so I have to show up, right? Um,
Yeah.
there's something about putting your own skin in the game that can help you to show up. Um, but the idea of holding yourself accountable to an audience, that's powerful. Um, because now you don't just have one pair of eyes looking at you, you have several pairs of eyes
Mhm.
looking at you, people who have maybe expectations of you. Um, and yeah, you want you want to make sure that you are showing up for your audience. You want to make sure that you are not talking the talk but not walking the walk. Um, so I just think about what that does for you psychologically, you know? It just creates this sense of, I don't know, like being concerned of what people might think about you. So you want to make sure that you do the right thing. And then in
Yes.
in doing the right thing, or you're not only helping your audience, but you're also helping yourself in the process.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's cool. You should probably do that again.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
See, for me, I've I have, experienced what having an accountability partner or mentor has done for me. Um, and I did experience better results as a result. um,
Yep.
so I think one of the biggest things that I really appreciate about accountability from outside of myself, from someone else, um, isn't so much about helping me stay on track with my trading plan as much as it is about helping me not give up on my trading. I think that is monumental because there were so many moments in my trading when I wanted to quit, when I wanted to give up, when I was feeling overwhelmed. Um, but because of the accountability of someone else, I didn't, because there was someone else there to say, you know what? Why don't we get on the charts together? You know what? Let's trade together. You know what? Let's take a look at what's been going on and so having that for me personally has kept me in trading as long as I have been trading. If it weren't for accountability partners, mentors, I honestly don't know where I would be.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can agree, but I think
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah. No, it does play a huge role either way. Even just like a mentor, like I wish I had that. like where there was a mentor who can like keep me accountable and everything like that. But unfortunately not. But yeah, that would have been cool, like where they just say, hey, you're not doing the right thing today. What happened to doing A, B, C, D and whatnot? Yeah, so yeah, it does help. It does help. In any way you can get accountability, your results one way or another will improve. That's what I'm sure of.
Now, you didn't have accountability from a specific person, you more so had accountability from an audience. Do you think that accountability, I don't know, is better in coming from like an individual person or a community, or maybe, or do you think it what was, like from self, or like a combination? Like, do you think that one is better than the other?
Um, I would say community harder if you do want to discipline yourself in following through with strategies and everything like that rather than second guessing and whatnot. But then, as a mentor, somebody already knows what you're supposed to be doing to help you get better. You won't just be continuously making a mistake correctly all the time or trading in a way that you're probably losing instead of improving. The mentor will help you improve from where you're not doing so well. But yeah, that's the major difference. So yeah, that's what I would say. The accountability for a community is probably when you know you can be profitable and you have back tested your strategy and whatnot. But when it comes to live markets, you're failing to execute. That's where the community comes in. And where they'll be like, yo, we're waiting. What happened? Why are you not placing the trade? Something like that. Or why did you close that trade earlier? Because you find that they'll be asking you questions throughout. Yeah, or why you did this, why you did that. Then if you just give a silly answer like, "Oh, I felt the market is gonna go down and everything like that," they'll be like, "Ah, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about." Yeah, instead of following through. But then with a mentor, yeah, they will see where you're lacking. They'll be like, no, you need to be reducing your lot size. You need to be moving your trade into break even when you see it has reached this point and everything. And oh, if there's this kind of news that comes out, if it comes out negative, you better just close out that trade and everything like that rather than keeping it running and holding on to losses. Yeah, so there's all of that. Yeah. So it's two sides of a coin, but they are both beneficial.
No, definitely. I was just gonna say that that point that you made about having a mentor, how the mentor can be able to focus and hone in specifically on you and your strengths and your weaknesses in trading, and helping you to identify exactly what tweaks you need to be making, um, to really help you kind of level up a bit. Um, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like
Yeah.
community is a little bit different. Um, yeah, it is a different kind of accountability that comes from community. Um, and also I would say community doesn't offer as much grace as maybe like a personal mentor does. Community can be a lot harder on you because I think a lot of times community expects perfection. Um, and there's no such thing. So, um, so yeah. Do you think accountability can also be, you know, in the tools that we use, even in just keeping track, you know, and using our data? I don't know.
Yeah. If there are KPIs in trading, yes, you would want to achieve those. So like my FX book has goals. It has something like that. So it has like percentage goals, it has money goals, it even has loss goals. Like Yeah. I think it's to help you know when you have gone beyond a certain limit in your trading. Yeah. So like the goal is I won't lose more than 1% or I won't lose more than 2%. Those goals will be there to help guide you and keep you accountable. And then when you look back, you probably try and remain flawless in your trading, I would say. Yeah, like where if you have set the goal that you only can lose like 5% in a month or 3%, it will show up in your goal lists on my FX book, and then you'll be like, okay, I think I need to take a break, re-strategize and everything. Yeah, and it'll just help you probably become a good trader. And once you just stick to that and have that kind of discipline, the data will actually look better by the end of the year, whereby if you just traded on a feeling, something like that. So if you have that data available, you can even use it probably even for investors. If you're that type of person who wants investors looking into your trading and whatnot, when they can see that, okay, this guy can execute in the live markets, follow his plan, nothing deviates from any of this, then they'll be like, okay, yeah, this is where I can put my money. Yeah. So if you have more data than just the drawdown and the return on investment, yeah, that just builds confidence for your investors and in yourself as well. So there's that.
I have a question for our audience. And that question is, what would you guys say has been your biggest challenge with staying consistent? And what kind of accountability do you think could help you in those moments when you're struggling? Feel free to let us know in the comments. And while I wait for you guys to respond, maybe I'll share something. Um, I think my biggest challenge in staying consistent is usually, see, I'm pretty good at persevering. Um, I'm not someone who gives up easily, but I think after a while of maybe a losing streak, or maybe not so much a losing streak, but a plateau. And I don't know if you guys know what I mean when I say a plateau, but a plateau is kind of like where you're not really losing money in your trading, but you're not really making money either. It's kind of like for some reason you're like you're doing well, and then all of a sudden you lose, and now you're back to where you were, and then you're doing well, and you go, and then it's like you're not really going anywhere. You're not really progressing. And after so long of not progressing, it gets really frustrating. Um, for me, in those moments, I just don't even want to trade anymore. I just get tired when I go through seasons like that. Um, so for me, what's hard for me to be consistent is just, yeah, it's just hard for me to even show up. I don't even want to show up. I don't even want to look at the charts. Hey, James, thank you for tuning in with us. James, where are you from? Let us know. And also let us know if you want to share about, how you feel accountability can help you with being consistent in your trading. So for me, accountability would be, I would literally probably need like a drill sergeant of a in those moments. You know, I would need somebody to like hit me up on my phone, like, I know you are not sleeping and not on these charts right now. Um, I probably would have to pay for a mentor because I know myself well enough to know that if I invest in myself financially, if I invest in my trading career and in my trading business financially, um, I'm more likely to be more serious in those moments when I'm feeling weak and when I don't feel like showing up. It's kind of like hiring a personal trainer for the gym. If anybody's ever hired a personal trainer, It's like hiring a personal trainer in your trading. It's not something I do often, but if there's a season, I might have a season every once in a while where I might need that. I might need that extra boost um, to get reignited and re-inspired. Uh, Lovely Kenya, or James from Kenya. It's nice to have Kenya in the house. So thank you for telling us where you're from. Any of you, feel free to share your thoughts. Let's Talk says, my challenge is once I have started making profit, I become overconfident and I start over trading. And it's always the trades you're overconfident with. Didn't we just have a whole podcast episode on this topic, Nick?
Which one exactly?
Oh my goodness. The dark side of overconfidence in trading.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Yes, we did. We talked about this very thing like a couple episodes ago. How overconfidence can absolutely hurt your trading. You're on that winning streak and you feel like nothing can touch you. You feel like unstoppable. And I think I said it in that episode. I said, when that happens, that's when you run. That's when you turn off the computer and say, you know what? I think I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to go, get some lunch, something,
Mhm.
but I'm not trading. I know that. Uh, I know that. So let's talk about this. How can accountability, Nick, be implemented in a situation like that? What do you think? In a situation where you're being tempted to overtrade because you're getting too confident.
You asked me?
Yes.
Okay, you just repeat the question one more time.
Yeah, no, I know your internet is being funny today. Sorry, guys, bear
Yeah.
with us because we're having a little trouble with our internet connection. Um,
Mhm.
so I was just wondering, you know how we're talking about overconfidence, right? And how overconfidence leads leads us to overtrading. In
Yeah.
what way can accountability be implemented in a situation like that to kind of help
Okay.
alleviate when we're dealing with that temptation to overtrade because we're feeling a little bit too confident?
Um, well, I think it all comes down to setting goals, like I mentioned. Yeah, like for example, if there's like a daily target, I remember there was something like this which was implemented in Japan, like some Japanese firm, whatever, hedge fund, where if a trader lost or made more than they should in a day, they would just like tell them like, oh, that's it for the day, close your working station and everything like that. Great job and whatnot. And then they send them home immediately. So yeah, you can set those type of things. I don't know if there are EAs out there where you reach a certain target and it won't allow you to open a trade. I'm not too sure, but they must be. They must be somehow.
I think that's
Either
a
ways,
tool.
you say?
That's a great tool.
Yeah,
If
yeah, definitely.
if someone has access to it. Because I don't know if that's an option for everybody, but if it is, especially with the prop firm, do it. Um, I There's a prop firm I trade with in the futures market. You can literally lock in, you can set your parameters beforehand on the platform. I love it. Where it's like you can say, I don't want to lose more than this much in a day, and I don't want to make more than this much in a day. And what happens is if you hit your threshold for losses, the system will automatically lock you out. and you won't even be allowed to trade or anything until the next market day. Same thing with making your profit targets. Once you hit your profit target for the day, the system locks you out. Now, I know there are not every platform offers that feature in their platforms. Um, so for some of you guys, it is going to require your own level of discipline. But if there's a way, yeah, like Nick was saying, I don't know if that can be used through like an EA or some other type of tool or whatnot. Yeah, it's a phenomenal system. Yeah, like I said, it just literally locks you out and says, "Sorry, you hit your losses for the day. You can't trade anymore." You know,
Mm-hmm.
"Are you sorry you made too much money today? Can't trade anymore." But that protects you from over trading on either side, whether you're losing or whether you're winning. Um, it's really good to have those tools, but sometimes you're not always going to have those tools. So you have to have your own internal meter, I guess, that says, "Hey, you made your money." You know what, Nick? I think that's one reason why it's a good idea just to say, I don't once I make this much, I'm done, you know? But it's sometimes for some traders, it's very hard because that emotion of greed starts to creep in. And you're like, well, I'm having a good day. So maybe one more trade.
Yeah.
And it's that one more
They feel
trade that
invisible.
it's that one more trade that wipes you out. And you're like, you know what? See, I know better. I know better. Why did I do that? You would think you would learn your lesson by now.
Mm-hmm.
That is so great. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's talk. By the way, let's talk. What's your name? He said, yeah. Yeah. See, well, haven't you learned your lesson by now, my friend? You should know by now. Don't do it. Be like, nope, it's a trap. It's a trap. I'm closing my laptop. I'm done. I'm done. Love it. Man, I think we're gonna start wrapping things up because I know Nick has some other things he has to tend to. But this has been a very interesting discussion, to say the least. Um, is it Melanie from Kenya or is it Milarni? That doesn't sound right. I feel like, am I saying it right? I don't know. Please let me know. Um, so in a nutshell, accountability, right? This week we want to challenge you guys to think about ways that you can implement accountability systems for yourself to help you stay on track with your trading. Whether it's to stay on track with your trading plan, right? Um, how much you're willing to lose each day, how much you're looking to gain, staying on track to avoid overconfidence, right? Over trading, you know, or even in those moments where you're really starting to get like depressed, right? Gosh, we don't talk about that. But some of us as traders, we sometimes go through some mental health things, we start to experience some depression. Um, you know, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but I know that's a real thing we deal with. We get really down in the dumps. That happens, but what kind of accountability parameters can we put in place? Is it a system? Are they tools? Is it a person? Is it a community? What kind of accountability systems can you put in place for yourself? Do you guys know anybody that trades other than you that maybe you can tap on the shoulder and say, you know what? I've been having a hard time with this lately. Can we work together as a team, as accountability partners, so that I can get back on track or so that I can stay on track? We definitely challenge you guys to kind of meditate on that this week and think about that because thinking about it and actually putting together a plan that you can implement is going to help you be a better trader. We can talk about trading strategies all day. We could talk about profits and making money all day. But my goodness, if we can't stay disciplined or consistent with our trading, then none of that other stuff really matters. Definitely, James. I completely understand, and I appreciate you for being honest and sharing that with the community. Depression is a real thing that we can deal with as traders, especially when we invest our own capital in trading and we lose it all, right? The only savings we had, or whether it's investing in a brokerage account or investing with a prop firm, right? This is why I will always recommend never, and I repeat, never, and I hope you guys are listening, never invest more than what you're willing to lose. Okay? Don't get so excited about a prop firm account, 100K, that you see only for $200. If that's all the money you have in your bank account, please don't get it. Don't do that. Do not invest more than what you're willing to lose. Be smarter than that. That will help you. That will help your mental health. All right, guys. So if you got any value from today's topic, please show us some love. Give us a like on YouTube. Comment, give us some hearts. If you know anybody who is a trader that you feel could take away some value from this, please feel free to share this with them also, so that they can have that. And as always, as we always say, stay sharp, keep a winning mindset, and remember that with Forex Focus, success is always just one trade away. All right, friends, have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay focused. Get yourself some accountability, right? So that you can stay focused. And hopefully we will be back next Monday. Take care, everybody. Happy trading.